Hello everybody, I am the Dire Duck. Right, let's predict the entire Gaslight District pilot. Yes, that is what I'm going to be trying to do today. We have ourselves a trailer and what seems to be just enough information for us to make some educated guesses. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Dire, isn't it a little early to try and predict the entire pilot's plot? Well, you know what they say, the early bird catches the YouTube algorithm. That or I'm completely insane, take your pick. So yeah, we'll be going back through the Gaslight District trailer and trying to put all the scenes in order to try to figure out what's going on and what the overall episode plot will be. But before we begin, remember to devour that like button and stomp on that subscribe button, as each one delays the end of the world by one day. Now, as you might imagine, this whole task is a lot more difficult than it first seems. Not only do we have just one trailer to go off of, we also have to remember that a trailer is meant to do one thing first and foremost, that being to hype us all up for the show. Now, while it seems to have done a good job at this, it does mean that the trailer could be deceptive in a lot of ways. This is because the trailer has likely cut up a load of shots from the show and stitched them together in such a way to make them a captivating trailer possible. This does mean that some parts might have no connection to one another despite being edited that way. Take the main piece of dialogue between Mel and Ken,
What do we do now?
You stay by our side, kid.
There is no guarantee that those two lines are being said to each other or even take place in the same episode. This might also be the case for some of the scenes. Like, think back to the murder drone trailers, hell, even some of the teaser images for the episodes. There were multiple scenes that were just made up for the trailers and promotion but never actually appeared in the show. Therefore, I have no doubt that we have some of this going on here too. Finally, Glitch will want to not show their hand too early, as if they spoil the show now, then why would we watch it? Besides the good animation, the interesting characters, the fact that it has all our favourite voice actors that we love, oh, and the characters are hot. But you get the picture. The point being, this is a difficult task, so do forgive me if I end up getting this completely wrong.
I'll never forgive this.
But I'm sure you'll all crucify me in the comments section below either way. Though, at the very least, it would be on brand with the religious theming of the show. But enough dilly-dallying, let's get down to business, shall we? So, fundamentally, the trailer can be roughly broken up into three parts, what I'm going to call the butcher shop, the truck chase, and finally the angel fights. The butcher shop is what that whale building is, and it is presumably Ken the Butcher's establishment. This is likely the gang's front organization, and potentially where they also live. It might also serve as a store/bar as well, judging from the scenes of people sitting around, but this might actually be a different locale instead. We get quite a lot of shots set in this location, which I would expect to be placed at the start or at the end of the episode. However, some of these shots might actually be from different locations entirely, like a traditional store or a bar of some sort. However, for most of them, like the ones with the whole gang present, they are clearly at the butcher's shop, based off the whale logo being placed around, along with the diagram on the wall, which provides a clear reference point and proves that several shots are from the same location. We have the truck chase, which I would like to think is pretty self-explanatory, being the scenes of the gang running a bunch of trucks off the road and attacking that one poor driver, with the gang presumably being after what's inside. Interestingly enough, the zombie with the fancy hair seen driving that truck was shown to be the family photo of the gang at the end of the trailer. So my first prediction is that this character used to be a friend of the Smiling Dead gang, however betrayed them in typical gangster fashion, and as such, the Smiling Dead gang are likely after some good old-fashioned payback. Either that, or he's just some lackey. Regardless, I think he will show up in the episode, but not much after that, with fate seemingly to be given the old cement shoes treatment. After all, this is a classic gangster punishment, and it's a good way of getting rid of someone permanently who cannot die. Finally, we have what I'm going to be calling the angel fights, which are the parts where the Smiling Dead gang seem to be fighting various angelic entities, with Ken fighting Temperance, while Mel is seen fighting an angel bird abomination. Based on the looks of these shots, these fights seem to take place in completely separate locations from one another. The Ken Temperance fight also seemingly causes a fire that ends up burning that picture of Temperance with Mel as a baby. Maybe Ken is trying to cover evidence of Mel's past, or maybe that whole fight is part of a flashback. For the Mel fight, she seems to be able to triumph over that bird thing, or at the very least is able to give it a good stomping, based on the fact she seemingly crushes its halo. However, as you can probably tell, the angel scenes are the ones that I'm least sure about, as they all seem to take place in like 3 different locations at once, while not really being very well connected with each other, suggesting that they might be part of different episodes, or as stated previously, being fake shots or part of flashbacks. Now that we have our seeming 3 main acts of the pilot, the question now remains, which order do they go in? Well, I can see this going in a few different ways, as each segment can theoretically take place in any order, especially in regards to the shop segment, as they can return to that location multiple times, being there at the start and at the end of the episode, which makes my job even harder, but I will still try my best to put it in an order that makes sense. So, with that in mind, I think the episode will start with the same collection of whispers that we saw in the beginning of the trailer, and I'm going to assume that we will get some sort of Uzi-style narration from Mel, explaining the backstory of the Gaslight District and the general state of things, along with who the Smiling Dead Gang are. Included in this will be some of the establishing shots from the trailer, like the egg and the underwater city, but we will likely get other shots as well. This will be a good way to quickly establish the world, as this is a completely new IP with a very strange setting, so this would help ease the audience into it. So therefore, I think this makes the most sense. I think the pilot will start properly in Ken's butcher shop, as this is the most logical place to start from. While there are other places the pilot could start from, like going straight into the truck chase, I think this makes the most overall sense. I think we will then see Mel going on about conspiracy theories and the egg, as we see her with that notepad with egg written on it. The rest of the gang will then slowly begin entering the scene and getting introduced, one by one, with the leader of the gang, Ken, being the last to show up. Mel will keep going on about her conspiracy theories and the egg to the other members of the gang and general populace, much to the concern of the rest of the gang who think it's a waste of time at best, and in the case of Ken the Butcher, I think he will consider it a dangerous distraction and will urge Mel not to dig into it, hinting that he's hiding knowledge about said egg. The gang will then start planning a raid on the convoy, with them being after what they think is inside, this being something of importance to the Angels, based off the symbols on the trucks. The Angels, I believe, function as some form of law enforcement or authority figures within the district. They will then begin their attack on the trucks, with Mud and Mel giving chase in their car, the pair having a back and forth with the trucks, ramming each other and exchanging fire, with the gang car being all beaten up. This eventually results in Mel boarding one of the vehicles and trying to directly hijack it by threatening the driver. However, in the chaos of it all, the trucks nearly end up crashing out. While all this is happening, Redhead is laying an ambush down the highway, eventually being able to grab one of the trucks before it's able to flee. Having captured the truck, the gang will go to loot the goods, but they may find something more than they expected to, finding something unique in the truck, which they will of course steal.
I think I'm about to steal!
However, this is all of great interest to the Angels, which would result in Diligence showing up to the looted truck to find the precious cargo missing, which is my guess to what this scene with him here is. This would of course make the Smiling Dead Gang even more wanted than they presumably already were, which would result in the Angels seeking to take more direct action against the gang. Now from here, things get a little bit more difficult to guess, but I'll still give you my best attempt. So, due to what they've acquired during the truck heist, Mel wants to go on a mission toward one of the Angel controlled locations, most likely Paradise Lost, as this is the only known location I can think of that would have these more angelic visuals you see with the Mel scenes. Ken joins her, but also gives everyone a warning about how dangerous it all is, which is almost certainly what this scene of him staring at the camera is. So, both Ken and Mel end up going on this little excursion, acquiring and dressing up in uniforms to use to blend in. As you'll notice in some scenes, they are both wearing the same sort of clothing as Temperance does, being the same buttoned up jacket, which implies a connection there. Both Ken and Mel will end up getting separated, with Ken running into and fighting Temperance, where they presumably talk about the past, as I imagine the two have a history, considering that they both clearly have a connection to Mel. Speaking of Mel, she ends up running into the Angel Crow Abomination, that she shared quite a few scenes with in the trailer. I would also presume at this point, she would have found one of the Angel's eggs, if she hadn't already done so, which might be the reason why the creature is after her. After all, it is highly likely that Mel has stolen that creature's egg. Now, of course, both pairs end up fighting each other, with Mel being able to seemingly best the bird creature and take the egg, while Ken is also able to ward off Temperance. At the end of it all, the pair are both able to escape Paradise Lost and return back to the Gaslight District proper, most likely back to Ken Butcher's. They will also probably have the egg with them as well. The episode will then end.
Bye, have a great time.
With the gang all being back at the butcher's shop. Not too much worse for wear, but this whole excursion will have revealed some big conspiracy most likely, confirming some of Mel's suspicions, probably surrounding that egg. This will make her quite excited, now that all her seeming conspiracies have been proven right. She'll then gain a newfound drive to find out more, which will disturb the other members of the gang. The episode will then end on this scene. Well, that's my current best attempt at sticking all these random events together into a story that kinda works. Obviously, there is a lot of detail missing, as I simply do not have enough information to go more into depth, but hopefully I have got at least some of it right. Though, I guess we will not have to wait very long to find out now, will we? Though, if it were to change anything about my prediction, then I think Ken's absence from the truck heist is a little bit odd, so maybe he's off fighting Temperance during that time, but who knows really. I hope you all enjoy my little rant, and at least somewhat agree with my assessment. But at the end of the day, what do you think? Does my timeline make sense, or do you think it's completely wrong? And do you have a better timeline in mind yourself? Let me know in the comments section below. Now then, that'll be all from me. Remember to like and subscribe and do all the other things that every other YouTuber tells you to do. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, check out my other videos, some of which are even good. Maybe. Either way, I hope to see you all again very soon. Well, Glitcher dropped some new teaser images, so I'll just tack them on at the end here. So, these are clearly just some in-engine images created to be teasers, but the main one of note here is the one with Mel and Mud, with our fancy-haired ghoul friend. What is interesting about this is that we can see Ken the Butcher visibly annoyed in the background, suggesting that there is some bad blood between the two, which might help explain the ghoul's seeming defection later on in the truck heist. But yeah, bye-bye for real now.